Did you actually think that the end of the defamation trial between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard happened when Amber was found guilty of defaming Depp? Well, if that's what you believe, then you're absolutely wrong. We told you on this channel before, Amber is just getting started, and it seems like that's true, and she recently filed an appeal against the verdict. Just a few months ago, people were already questioning this, although a whole jury was found in Johnny Depp's favor against ex-wife Amber Heard. The legal drama was obviously far from done. During those moments of celebration for Johnny Depp, one question still lingered. Would Amber Heard appeal the court's decision? Well, turns out she did. After all, her net worth declared as of 2022 is $8 million, still a few million short of what she has to pay. Heard's lawyer have stated that she would file an appeal, which will most likely take years. But it seems like that isn't the case because we are barely a year out of the last trial, and here comes another chaos for the former couple. Today, we're spilling all the details you need to know about Amber Heard's 16-point grounds for appeal. But before any of that, make sure that you subscribe to our channel and you smash that notification bell for more updates on this. Now, let's dive in. On Tuesday, Amber Heard filed an appellate brief listing 16 grounds for appeal, 4 months after a jury awarded her ex-husband Johnny Depp $10.3 million in damages. During the trial, which ended in June, Depp claimed that he had been defamed by a 2018 op-ed Heard wrote at the behest of the ACLU in support of victims of domestic maltreatment. The opinion piece did not refer to Depp by name, but he successfully argued that readers could infer she was talking about him in 2 of its sentences. And in its headline, Amber Heard, I spoke up and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. The jury also awarded her $2 million in damages for her countersuit over a statement that Depp's lawyer, Adam Waldman, made, in which he called her claims of mistreatment a hoax. From the end of the case, it was expected that Heard would appeal, but if you're hoping to see the same lawyer she had on the trial, you'll be disappointed. Amber Heard has hired new legal counsel to appeal the verdict reached in Johnny Depp's defamation trial. A spokesperson for the actress announced she retained David L. Axelrod and J. Ward Brown of law firm Ballard Spahr to lead her counsel. Ben Rottenborn will continue as co-counsel, while Elaine Charlson Bredehoft will step down. You may remember that both Rottenborn and Bredehoft represented Heard during the 6-week trial in Virginia. When it comes to protecting the fundamental rights of freedom of speech, we look at the jury's decision. To paraphrase a famous quote, not as the beginning of the end, but merely the end of the beginning. Heard's spokesperson said, a different court warrants different representation, particularly as so much new evidence is now coming to light. Axelrod is a former federal prosecutor and first-year trial lawyer who represents individuals and companies in high-stakes civil litigation, while Brown has represented journalists, news organizations, and documentary filmmakers, among others. In First Amendment cases, the pair successfully defended the New York Times against Sarah Palin's defamation lawsuit earlier this year. We welcome the opportunity to represent Ms. Heard in this appeal, as it is a case with important First Amendment implications for every American, Axelrod and Brown said in a joint statement. We're confident that the appellate court will apply the law properly without deference to popularity, reverse the judgment against Ms. Heard, and reaffirm the fundamental principles of freedom of speech. Bredehoft said that the appeal is the perfect time to pass the baton. In her own statement, I have pledged to Amber and her appellate team by complete cooperation and assisted as they move forward on a path towards success, she said. According to documents obtained by Vanity Fair, the grounds for appeal include everything from lack of clear and convincing evidence for actual malice, the standard whereby defamation cases are decided, to the trial court's failure to invalidate the damages that the jury assigned after it found both Heard and Depp had defamed each other, an inherently and irreconcilably inconsistent thing. Some of the grounds had already been mentioned earlier in court or in the post-trial interviews by her former representative Elaine Bredehoft, so there were a few surprises. Several of the points have to do with evidence admitted that should not have been, and evidence that was not admitted that should have been, including various communications with medical professionals as well as with employees, friends, and family. In another post, the filing reads, the trial court erred in allowing Mr. Depp to argue or suggest at trial that the jury could award damages based on statements or conduct occurring prior to the publication of the challenged op-ed. That is, Depp was suing over the op-ed and thus claiming he lost work and was was owed damages because of it. But Depp led members of the jury to believe that Heard was on trial for statements or events prior to that article's publications in the Washington Post in 2018. The filing arrives in the Virginia court on the heels of Depp's appearance stateside. He was photographed signing autographs in New York, while here with Jeff Beck for the North American tour. If you're having a hard time remembering how much Amber Heard needs to pay, let's take a little trip down memory lane. A 7-person jury ruled in June that Heard intentionally and maliciously defamed Depp when she wrote her 2018 Washington Post op-ed and identified herself as a public figure representing domestic maltreatment. Depp was awarded $10 million in compensatory damages and $5 million in punitive damages. The judge later reduced the punitive damages to Virginia's state cap of $350,000. Heard earned a small countersuit victory of $2 million in compensatory damages. After a motion of a mistrial was denied, Heard's team filed to appeal the verdict last month. We believe the court made errors that prevented a just and fair verdict consistent with a First Amendment. A spokesperson for the actress said, "We are therefore appealing the verdict. While we realize today's filing will ignite the Twitter bonfires, there are steps we need to take to ensure both fairness and justice." When reached for comment on the appeal, a spokesperson for Depp told EW, "The jury listened to the extensive evidence presented during the 6-week trial and came to a clear and unanimous verdict that the defendant herself defamed Mr. Depp in multiple instances. We remain confident in our case and that this verdict will stand." But does Amber Heard stand a chance to win this time? It's a long, expensive process, says David Ring, a Los Angeles civil trial lawyer. He and other experts estimated the appeal would take 2 years minimum. Several attorneys who spoke with Time speculated it would cost Heard hundreds of thousands of dollars in addition to the likely millions she's already spent in legal fees. But when you're facing a $15 million judgment, says Ring, you certainly have to probably pursue that. According to experts, Heard or her insurance company will be asked to post a bond proving that she has the money she owes Depp or can raise it before the appeal process can start. Given that both Heard and her attorney have claimed that the trial has put a financial strain on her, it is uncertain whether Heard will be able to post the bond. However, an appeals court may give her legal team a better chance than the jury of 5 men and 2 women who decided to award Depp damages. Jurors went sequestered. The trial was carried live on television, and videos of Depp and Heard testifying as well as overwhelmingly positive commentary were unavoidable on social media sites like TikTok. I would expect the appellate portion of the case, where the audience is judges, to focus more on legal arguments and a lot less on the theatrics that we saw in the trial where the audience was a jury, says Sullivan. According to analysts, Heard's camp could raise a variety of points. Elaine Bredehoft, her former attorney, made comments after the trial that she seemed to imply that she will concentrate on the evidence. She has indicated that some of the evidence Depp was able to present was prejudicial, while Heard's team's evidence was suppressed at trial, including evidence that was allowed in the UK but not in the US. So, what do you think of Amber Heard's recent move? Let us know in the comments. That's all for today. We hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and smash that notification bell for more episodes.